Okay, call tonight's regular council meeting to order, Monday, March 24th, 2025. Um, Introduction of the late items, which is there late items on this one? I don't think so. Is there?
Yes, there is. There
yes,
is
the one
the
that
recommendation.
the recommendation, which was for the to have the discussion about from the
Staff shortages?
pardon?
Staff.
Yeah, from the committee of the whole. Yeah. Okay, so can I get a mover and a seconder for that? Councillor Ady, Councillor Rendawa, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, moved. What?
One other late item I'd like to throw in is a notice of motion to upgrade the cemetery bylaw.
Well, can we just do that in the end there in council roundtable?
Yeah, okay.
let's just do
Actually,
that.
it is more appropriate to put it as a late.
Okay,
as a
okay.
late-
So we'll go back a step here. Introduction of late items for discussion about the cemetery. Can I get a mover and seconder again? Councillor Forster, Councillor Rendawa, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, moved. Okay, so we are.
And then also from the committee of the whole, a discussion about staff working with the people that just gave us a presentation.
I think that was included.
That was included?
Yeah.
We just did all of it? Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
I just added the extra one. Okay, so we are on to public comments. If there's anyone in the gallery that would like to speak, which there is no public in this, we have a staff member. Are you here as a staff member or as the public? Okay, so then we have no public here, so no comments. On to the consent agenda. We have council minutes from regular council meeting of March 10th, 2025, minutes of special meeting March 10th, 2025, reports for receipt, the fire chief report from February, report from the deputy director of operations for major project update, correspondence for approval, request from the letter of support for the 2030 Special Olympics Canada Summer Games, and correspondence for receipt, which is CMF charters regarding the upcoming bylaw amendment for Cow Bay Marina. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Forster and Councillor Ady. All in favor? Any opposed? Or I guess I should do any discussion? Any discussion, I guess I should have asked. Is there any discussion on anything? No? Okay. Then we will move on. Reports. Report from the Chief Financial Officer regarding the Northwest Regional Funding Report. A recommendation that Council approve the long-term development plan for 2024 through 2028 and the policy statement prepared for the province of British Columbia as required under the Northwest Regional Funding Agreement. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Ady and Councillor Forster. Is there any discussion? Councillor Ady.
Just a question. I appreciate that what we're doing here is required by a deadline set by the provincial government in terms of feedback. I'm sure that they're looking for a sense of where the money's going and what it's being spent on and whether it meets the objectives of the program. So I appreciate that. I guess my question then is, subsequent to the deadline, which is in April, if circumstances arise that might provoke us to want to make amendments or adjustments in it moving forward after that, is that still something that we're able to do?
Go ahead, Ms. Bowman.
Thank you for the question. Through the chair, the annual development plan also needs to coincide with the long-term development plan. However, it can be amended, the annual development plan, in accordance with the 5-year financial plan. And that particular document does not need council approval. It just needs administrative approval, but administratively, we would have to line it up with the 5-year financial plan anyway. The only time that the long-term development plan needs to be amended is if something on this plan changes materially.
Does that answer your question?
Almost. Could you give me an example of a material change, hypothetically?
Hypothetically, in 2028, we have $6.84 million planned for the water treatment plant. If that changes materially, then we would have to do an amended long-term development plan.
Did I see a hand on the screen there?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Shelton Marvin.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just going to ask to clarify what the motion and what the piece entails for folks watching at home, just so they understand what we're referencing and what this looks like and numbers wise and things like that.
Well, basically, I mean, did you want to do this, Mr. Bucket? Okay, so basically, it's just so people at home know, we received a funding agreement with the government, which was a 5-year agreement to receive. I think we're getting in the neighborhood of around 7 million, I believe, or six point something.
6.86 million.
6.86 million annually for the next 5 years. But by receiving that funding through some hard work of many local and area people from here to Vanderhoof, what it does is put us in a position to have money to spend on the needed things in our community, but we're required to spend it only on certain things. So it's not for dropping of taxes, because if we did that, they wouldn't give us the money. So it's more about using the money to benefit the community on the things that we're short, like whether it be infrastructure or other projects. And in order to receive this money, we have to basically put in a bunch of guidelines, which is what we're essentially doing here, where we're going to spend the money, and that's what this report is all about.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so I guess, is there any other questions? No? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, carried. 6B, a report from the Manager of Communications, Engagement and Social Development regarding the Rotary Club Bandshell project. The recommendation that the council confirm that the city will accept Rotary donations of the Bandshell structure at Mariners Park as a city-owned asset following construction completion, with provision for continued staff involvement in material selection and design processes, and that council provide direction for the staff to include projected asset management expenses in the annual budget for consideration following construction completion. Do I have a... Okay. Yeah. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Forster, Councillor Cunningham. Is there any questions? Councillor Adie.
I understand that we'll have the maintenance costs provided more specifically in terms of annual budgeting. I'm just wondering if there's a sense, in a ballpark sense of what we might be looking at in that respect. I saw a proposal that I think it'll be wonderful. It looks great, but it's a little more complicated than just a covering over a concrete block. So I would be curious about a ballpark for maintenance on an annual basis.
Are we going to Mr. Bucci? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So what I think will happen is the annual maintenance will be very light at the beginning, right after construction. Obviously, it's a new asset, but over time it will likely increase depending on the type of materials chosen and type of structure. There may be pressure washing, things like of that nature. Hopefully not painting, but we'll likely have to do an annual assessment just with our facilities people and with our and possibly an engineering assessment, depending on if it's a sophisticated engineered structure. But I'm thinking in the order of $10,000 to $15,000 would be adequate to start, and then there could be future upgrades that are required over time.
Thank you. Any other questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Okay. Now What's this one? Okay, C. Report from Councillor Forrester, proposal for Prince Rupert City regarding the Canadian procurement proposal. Recommendation that the City of Prince Rupert City Council requests staff to review current procurement practices and identify opportunities to enhance Buy Canadian purchasing, and that staff are requested to report back to council with a proposed outline of changes at a future meeting of council, including the cost-benefit implications of adopting a Buy Canadian policy and its potential impacts on the budget. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Councilor Forrester and Councilor Rendama. Any questions? Councilor Cunningham.
I'd like to add to this that we also adopt a policy to buy local whenever possible. And that starts right here in this house. You know, whenever possible, we buy local supplies from people that are paying taxes in this town instead of companies from Terrace or wherever. And you know, I see their vans delivering stuff all over town and to our own building, and they don't pay any property taxes. None of the money stays here. They sell the product and leave town. So I'd like to see us, wherever possible, and it's not a potential impact on the budget, to start buying locally and source locally.
I don't know if can we put this into the.
I think that the original mover would need to
Yeah.
accept that as a friendly.
To include buy local as part of the assessment, yes, I can agree to buy local as part of the assessment.
Well, he's the original seconder.
Okay, I mean, my input a little bit on this would be, I mean, that's a pretty vague statement as far as buy local. You know, I mean, if we bought local on everything, potentially could be a drastic impact on our budget. So I don't know if we want to add to that statement.
Sorry, my intent was not that it's going forward without consultation.
Yeah.
It would be that as part of my motion, that we review current procurement practices and identify opportunities to enhance a Buy Canadian. We also, where possible, look at locally over just Canadian. That would be my ask.
Dr. Buchan.
Mr. Chair, I would note that what the motion does is ask for staff to do a report back, so we can do the implications on, you know, legal and cost and budget, and it would be a policy that council would approve. So you'd have a chance to consider the staff input and then you know, come to a final determination as to the content of that policy. So concerns can be, you know, worked out at that point.
Sounds good. Is there any other questions, Councillor Forrester?
Sorry, I would just also ask, with these tariffs, I don't know if there will be any impact on the big project. I think we've got most of the water pipes, but have we looked at whether or not there's going to be additional costs? And so I just wonder if we can, I don't need an answer this second, but if we could maybe, as part of this, also understand if these tariffs are going to impact anything we've already budgeted.
You're just going to write that? Okay. Sounds good. And any other questions? No, I don't see anything. So all in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Motion's carried. So I guess we're going to go with 6D. Oh, sorry, Dr. Buchan.
Mr. Chair, I can speak just very briefly to 6D, the staff shortage matter that was brought forward by the committee of the whole.
Yeah.
I had a brief chat with Mr. Farrell, and he has advised that bringing this, the staff can work with him to bring forward a declaration to the next council meeting. One was not ready yet. He had just the topics, so the notion is that a declaration would be crafted and we bring it to the next meeting for council to consider. So there's nothing really now that needs to be done except for perhaps a motion. I would suggest for consideration along to the effect, something to the effect that staff work with Mr. Farrell and colleagues to bring a declaration to council to consider at the next council meeting regarding the staff shortage crisis.
Moved by Councillor Adey, second by Councillor. Oh, you're up. You want to?
I can certainly move that. I would
Okay.
like to
You want a discussion?
propose
Yeah.
something further.
Okay. Well, let's move it and second it, and Councillor Rendaw second it, and then is there any discussion? So, Councillor Ady, go ahead.
Well, I take no issue with that step. I think we need to do that. I think I made that clear. I do think that I've said it, but so I'll say it again. I think there may be some other things we can do, and I think we ought to do. I think we ought to reach out to the port and have a conversation with them about the implications regarding the cruise industry and see if that might persuade the port to use its considerable voice with the federal government and the appropriate ministries. So procedurally, I'm happy to receive advice on how to make that happen. And I think the notion of a letter from us on the issue, I think, will be taken care of by the call to action. But some coordination with the other regional mayors might also be appropriate. So I guess what I'm suggesting is a subsequent motion, whether we pass it, whether we can do it tonight or do it in 2 weeks, related to the port and related to some collaboration among regional mayors.
You wanted to say something, Dr. Bucket?
I was listening and putting my hand up at the same time. I think that actually deferring those points to the next meeting when this is addressed would give some time for some further thought. And but in the meantime, I can say that staff will certainly begin discussions with PRPA staff on the implications of this for them.
Okay, so we don't need to do any other further motions or anything. Mayor Pond.
Yeah, thanks. Just to let you know, I thank just by text John for the presentation, and he said their next challenge is selling it across the region, and I did offer to him if I can help in any way to help them sell it across the region. We'll use, my office to help.
Anyone else? No? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, carried. Okay, no. Cemetery. Okay, so the next, which would be, I guess, 6E, would be the discussion. Did you have something crafted for this too, or?
I can quickly craft one for you if you like. That council requests staff to bring a report forward to amend the cemetery bylaw to consider vertical stones in the library in the cemetery. Maybe Mr. DCM Pucci can add to that.
Thank you, Dr. Buchan. Corinne we were chatting with Councillor Cunningham, and probably best to have the entire bylaw looked at. The entire bylaw is from 2007, so we're talking, coming on to 20 years old. And I think that looking at it, the entire bylaw, and then looking also with a specific lens on the GG area as well at the same time.
Okay, so make a motion to look at the bylaws for the cemetery bylaws. Is that good enough, I guess? Councillor Cunningham, seconder. Councillor Forster, any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. I think that's what we got. So next is the council roundtable. Oh, sorry. Did I miss something?
We also I wanted to have a discussion about the presentation we just had with the Sacred Fire folks.
Okay.
To ask that staff connect with them.
Okay, so I guess a motion for staff to work with the Sacred Fire people to, have more discussions about future steps forward. Is there a mover? Councillor Forster, seconder. Councillor Cunningham, any discussion?
Just recognizing that there was a timeline suggested in terms of the pace at which that work needs to happen, and that the effort be to meet that timeline.
Yeah, sounds good. Is there any other comments? Hearing none. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Okay, number 7, council roundtable. Is there anybody that has anything to say tonight? Looking pretty quiet. Wow. That's a first.
I just have one thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. I think it's just some of the pieces we kind of brushed on a little bit, but I think there's something symbolic in having those folks as our last presentation, but also moving into what was talked about as we reach 2026. It's a pretty significant year for all of us. I mean, that will be when our term ends. However, also, we're creeping up to the 75th anniversary of the amendment to the Indian Act that decriminalized culture and cultural gatherings. And it's actually the 150th anniversary of the Indian Act itself. So looking at some of those priorities, and even just me referring to some of my other hats and some of my visits to Victoria, with the Ministry of Jobs, Economic Development, Innovation, and Ministry of Indigenous Affairs and Reconciliation, that there's a lot of interest around some initiatives that are being led up here in the north. And I think maintaining that flexibility, and also as we creep into that, and making sure that we have the remaining 2 years to be able to pull off some pretty significant things. I think there's a lot of stuff that's in motion and in the works, and with our nation and our coastal partners, and as well as similar groups like this one here. So just looking at some of those pieces and how we can kind of have some of that take shape, so we have some of the excitements, and then I'm sure anything we try to accomplish here will only be second to an A&W, because that's where the priority is with the public. So we got to get those onion rings in there somehow. But just to kind of note those pieces and some priorities as they kind of take flight.
Thank you. Is there anything else from anyone else? Hearing none, can I get a motion to adjourn? Councillor Randhawa, Councillor Adey, all in favor? What? It's not passed? No, carried. Thank you, everyone,
Carried.
for putting up with me tonight.